Welcome to the online lectures for information security. In today's class, we'll be discussing three topics: the NSTI SSE security model, the components of information security, and securing components. The NSTI SSE security model. Now, this NSTI SSE security model stands for National Security Telecommunication and Information System Security Committee. This model is used as a national training standard for information security professionals. That how you're going to train the different professionals, different people, how they're going to secure the information. Now, this security model, it is an evaluation standard for security. That is how you're going to consider the security of a particular system, or how you're going to consider how you're achieving, at what level you're achieving the security of the system. By making use of this model, you can evaluate at what standards the company meets the security. Now, this NSTI SSE security model, it was developed by John McCumber, and the model has got a cube representation, a three-dimensional cube representation, and that cube is also given the name as McCumber cube. Now, this NSTI SSE security model, it is going to provide you with a more detailed perspective on security. That is, within the previous class we have studied, there are three main dimensions of information security. So it is going to cover those three dimensions. I hope you remember what were the three dimensions. It was based on CINA, where C stands for confidentiality, that information can only be accessed by authorized professionals. Then integrity, only authorized people should have access to the information. And availability, that is, the authorized people should have the data available at any time. So it is going to cover the three dimensions of information security, and it is going to omit the detailed discussion of guidelines and policies. That is, if suppose you are discussing about confidentiality, what are the different guidelines and policies that you're going to use within this, the McCumber cube is going to eliminate that aspect. You're just going to focus on confidentiality, integrity, availability, and direct the implementation of controls. That is, in here you're going to have a cube that is going to be three dimensional. So you're going to cover the 27 aspects within this NSTI SSE model. Now, this NSTI SSE security model, it contains information that can be, this information involves any type of intelligence activity, now this is what NSTI SSE model contains. It can have information on intelligence activities, and it can have any type of cryptographic activities, anything that is being encrypted so that the other person, any unauthorized person, should not be able to identify what task you're performing. Then it can have different commands or any control of military forces. Now, this type of data, the defense data, it is very important and it should not be accessible by any unauthorized person. So it can have the different commands and the different controls of military forces, where they are residing, what is their next step. These all can be there within the national security system model. Then it also involves any equipment that can be a part of a weapon. That's some type of new technology or new weapon that is used within the military. That type of information can be stored. Now, any type of weapon or any part within a weapon system, some add-on supports that you're adding within a weapon system. So the NSTI SSE model is going to have all of this information. Now, this is the NSTI SSE security cube. Now, within this, you've got the x-axis, y-axis, and you've got a third dimension like the z-axis. Now, in here, within the x-axis, you're going to have all the key objectives. Then you have got, then on the y-axis, you're going to have the objectives of CIA. Objectives of CIA are confidentiality, integrity, availability. Where are the key objectives are storage, how you're going to store the data, how the data is being processed, and how you're transmitting the data. Now in here, and the third primary means how you're going to implement policy, education, and technology. Now this is the Mac-Cucumber cube. Now in here you got the x-axis, y-axis, and the third one how you're going to implement the policy, education, and technology. Now in here each cube, now in here if suppose you're implementing security, you're going to ensure all of this 999 to ensure system security. You need to have all of this 27 areas must be addressed properly. All the 27 areas should be addressed properly. Now addressed properly in here means that now in here you have the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now in here, by making use of specific policy, this confidentiality, how you're going to store the information, the stored information, how it is achieving confidentiality, how the stored information is achieving integrity, how the stored information is achieving availability. This all is identified. Then processing, how you're going to process data. Now to process data also, if suppose there's a person who needs to transfer some specific confidential information, so if he has got that specific details of confidentiality, he can transmit the data, he can process the data. Then how data integrity is maintained, how availability is maintained, all of this is going to be identified. Then the same thing is for transmission. For transmission, how you're going to achieve confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now in here, the other 9 cells are policy, education, and technology. Now in here, to implement the storage, processing, and transmission accordingly with confidentiality, integrity, and availability, you need to know what specific policy need to be implemented. Now in here, you're going to have different policies. Policy, it can be for a specific organization. Then policy can be for a specific software, or policy can be for a specific process. There can be different policies. So in here, for storing the information with specific policy, you need to identify which specific policy need to be implemented. That is going to be identified. Education means now when you're working on a particular system, you need to have the basic understanding of what this particular system is and what you are the different steps that you need to follow. That is why education is important. Now technology means what are the different tools that you're using to implement the entire Mac-Cucumber cube. That is, you can have different software, you can have different applications or different tools, whatever you're using in here. So in here, this Mac-Cucumber cube, within this, the 3 dimensions, all the 3 cross 3 cross 3, all the 27 areas must be addressed properly so that you can secure the information system. Now, if suppose, we'll take an example. Now the intersection between now and here, let's take a different color. Now, if suppose you're focusing on integrity, the storage. Now, when you want this, the intersection between technology and integrity and storage, you're taking this technology, integrity, and storage. Now, in here, this intersection, that is when you're following storage, integrity, and technology, it requires to control or safeguard the address that is used to use this particular technology. Whatever address that is, you can have some specific key or some specific authentication might be given. So in here, you need to safeguard this key. This key should not be given to any unauthorized person. You need to safeguard this key, how you're achieving the integrity of this particular system. This need to be safeguarded so that the particular system has got only access rights to the person that has got this security key. This is the NSTI SSE security model. Now in here, the name that is given as CNSS security model. Now this name CNSS security model, the CNSS stands for Committee on National Security System. the name NSTISSC, it was converted to CNSS. So in here, if you get the NSTISSC model or the CNSS security model, this is going to be same. NSTISSC is equal to the CNSS security model or the Macumber cube. Now coming on to the components of an information system. Now in here, the information security is an entire set of software, hardware, data, people, procedures, and network. That is this six things. Now these all six things, these are necessary to use information as resource in the organization. Now resource means you can either take data from it or you can upload data to it. So all of this, they form as a resource within a particular organization. Now this six are your critical components that is going to enable information. That information can be used as for giving input, or how you're going to process the information, and how this information is going to be displayed, that is output, or it needs to be stored in a particular area. It can be a disk or a magnetic tape, wherever you want to store the data. Now each of these components has got its own security requirement. That is in here, a security requirement means software. To secure your software, you need to have some different rules. For securing hardware, you've got some different set of rules. That is, each of them has got its own security requirement. You cannot apply the same set of rules to everyone, to each and every component. Now, coming on to the first part, that is software. Now this software component, now the different examples for software, it can be any application, or it can be an operating system, or it can be any assorted command utilities. Now what are utilities? Utilities means anything that can be, that has got value, information that has value. When you're using it in a certain way, it gives you value. So in here, within the software, any types of commands or that can also be your software. Now in here, within the software program, these software programs are often created under some demanding constraint of project management. That is, within some specific time is given to develop a particular application. Some specific time constraints are given, and some limited, sometimes you might also have limit to the cost. That is, the software need to be built within some specific amount. And some, now in here, when you're limiting the cost, it also limits the number of people that are working on the particular software. Now in here, when you've got these many types of limitations, in here the software becomes an easy target of accidental or intentional attack. Now in here, you might see sometimes you have this, any type of software is being launched, or any update is being launched. The next day you get a review on this particular software. Now what does that review tells you? The review is going to tell you the different bugs within the software, or the different loopholes within the particular software. You get to know the different drawbacks that are there within the particular software, the different weaknesses within the software. Now these weaknesses arise due to the time constraint, the cost constraint, and the manpower, because limited people are there, limited time is there. You might not have many people to focus on the different aspects for securing the particular software. So at this time, the software becomes an easy target. Now this can be an accidental target or an intentional, for an intentional attack also. The next component is hardware. Now hardware is the physical technology that is within the within the hardware. You're going to have the software embedded within this. So this hardware acts as the house for the software, where you're going to execute the software. You can store the data or carry the data within a hardware. If you've got a hard drive, you're storing the data and you're carrying the data within a particular hard drive. Now this hard drive is also going to provide you with interfaces for the entry and removal of information. Now interface means how you're going to, it can be how you're going to connect it with the system, or interface can also be what type of user interface you're going to have. So this provides you with the interface for entry and removal of the information. Now in here, For the hardware, there is a physical security that you're going to implement. Now this physical security is physically how you're going to safeguard this particular system. Now to safeguard the system, you can have different types of locks for the particular room, or giving keys to some specific authorized people, to authorized users, or you can also restrict access. Now restricting access means, if suppose there is some confidential file where other people that are working for this particular project, they've got access to the file, but that access is read only. That is, they can only read that information. They cannot perform any write operation. So these write operations cannot be performed. So that is restricting access. People that have access to the write operation, only those people can access and read the they can update, delete, any types of tasks can be given to the person that has got write access. Then the another method for securing the hardware is securing the physical location of computers, and the computer themselves is an important, because breach of physical security can result in loss of information. Now in here, if suppose you've got some backup of a particular organization, now this backup can be stored, can have a different location where you're storing all of the magnetic tapes or the disks, any type of or wherever you're storing the information, the disk, the pen drives, the CTs, wherever you're storing information, you can completely safeguard the location, that no one other have any information that where this backup area is there, where you do not have any access to the location. So you're going to secure entirely the location. Now when you're securing the entire area for the computers, now it becomes easy for you to avoid breach of physical security. Now breach of physical security means, if suppose you're working on a particular laptop, it has got all the detailed information of a particular confidential project. Now if suppose you're not encrypting the files, and any person has got access to your laptop, this laptop is being stolen. So in here what happens, this entire information about this confidential project, it is compromised. That is, anyone has got access to your particular project. So this is how, now to avoid this type of any type of steals within the data, you can encrypt the data. Every time you're saving any type of data, it is better that you encrypt all the information. Now if you encrypt the information, it becomes very difficult for the person to crack the code. Even if you've got access to the file, the file is being encrypted, and he cannot decrypt the file until unless they have got the security key for this particular hardware. Now, what are the different examples for physical security? It can be an intruder alarm system, it can be access control systems, or closed circuit televisions. Now, in here, if we consider the first one, that is the intruder alarm system. Now, by the name itself, you say if any person has got access to the data within the system, you've got an alarm that is going to ring. Now, this includes examples for this is, you can have an area surveillance. Now if suppose you've got your entire property under any type of, you've got no you have not got access to people that are not authorized, so your entire area will be under surveillance. That is, in here, any person, if he comes, if he tries to approach, if he tries to breach the walls of a particular building. So in here, by making use of this area surveillance cameras, you'll be able to identify that any person has entered your particular area. Then you can have any different types of volumetric sensors, any type of sound that can also be detected. Then you can have a high security perimeter. That is, you're providing any types of metallic wiring across the walls that has got electricity passing through it. Or you can have any type of infrared devices. The second one is access control system. Now within this access control system, you can have card system that any authorized person will be given a card. If the particular person swipes the card, then only he'll be given access. Or you can have biometric verification. If a person passes the biometric verification, then only he'll be granted access. Or else if you do not provide any biometric verification for getting in within the system and getting out, the doors might be closed. This type of method can be used. Then the third one is closed circuit television. Now this is also CCTV. Now this CCTV system, these are used for video surveillance. Now these video surveillance cameras, these can have 360-degree surveillance. You do not need to have different cameras facing. One camera can cover entire 360 degrees. You can have IP video recordings, image analysis if any person is standing on the door. If the software recognizes the particular person by making use of image analysis, then only he'll be given access. So these are the different types of security mechanisms or different policies that are used to secure the hardware. Now, given picture, now for wide area surveillance, now you've got within this picture, you've got wide area surveillance sensors that is going to provide the continuous view of a particular area. This is a particular sensor. Now in here, you can you can see the different areas of a particular organization. Whereas the high security perimeter protection means you've got this wire running across the entire perimeter, across jails or across many very important project defense areas. You're going to have this high security perimeter protections. So this is how you're going to secure the hardware. The third component is data. Now in here, data, it can be used for storage, or data is used for processing information, or either transmitting data through a computer system. Now in here, when data is stored, or whenever you're processing the data or you're transmitting data, in all these three areas, it is necessary that the data is secure. Data should be protected, whether it is being stored, processed, or transmitted. Now, because why this should be secured? Because data, it is the most valuable asset. Now, if suppose you've got valuable asset. Now, a company might have a record of their So in here, let's suppose we take an example of a particular bank. Now bank is going to have all the personal information of a particular person. You've got personal information, you've got the ATM passwords, you've got the internet banking passwords. All of them are stored at the bank. Now, if suppose a particular person has got access to the data of the bank, that is, this valuable asset of the bank is being compromised. If suppose, even if not of all the members of the bank, if suppose for one particular person. Now, if suppose you get to know all the personal information of a particular person and the different accounts he is being related to. So in here, you can target an intentional attack. That is, transfer you might transfer the different you might transfer balances from his different accounts to your account. You might get to know the different assets where he has invested in. You might get to know the information. You might try to hack that information. So in here, this becomes the main attack. Now this is an example for a bank. Now if suppose within a particular organization, you're going to have data. Now this data, it can be raw data. Now raw data means you have not performed any type of pre-processing within the data. It can have missing values, it can have duplicate data, that is raw data. And in here, data cleaning is not performed. That is, it can have different types of noise is present within the data. Now in here, if a person gets access to an organization data, even if it is raw data, that is, it can have, you need to work a lot to get the correct information. Whereas unorganized data means the data that is not organized in the form of tables. It can only be different lines of code. It is written as different lines. Now in here, discrete data, it is separate data or it is isolated data. So if you get access to any type of data in here, or you have some specific facts as listed in here, now facts in here, you can have the different policies or different figures that are some important graphical representations of the growth of a particular organization, or you can say the income related or the profit. If you get access to all of this information, this can be either manipulated, or this you can use this data as a counter attack on the another organization. That is, if suppose you get to know, if suppose there is a particular event that is planned by a particular organization. Now for this particular organization, you get to know what are their different designs they are going to use. Now, and these designs are going to be presented on the specific date only. Now another person has got access to all of this event data. Now in here, an intruder has got access to all of this confidential event data. It can be a campaign or anything. So in here, within this event, this particular intruder might steal this design, and he might represent the same design as his own designs on that particular, to that particular person or for that particular company for which this event was planned. Now when this intruder is going to present his entire plan to this particular company before this person that was actually handling the event, so he gets the entire credit, and this project might be given to this intruder company. Project might be given to this new rival company. So this is why your data need to be safeguarded. The next component is people. Now in here, there are many roles for people in information system. Now in here, there are many roles. The different roles are going to include a system analyst. You're going to have programmers, people that are going to code. Now system analyst means the person who is going to maintain all the systems. Then you've got technicians. If any error is there within a particular hardware, or they are going to fix those. Then engineers, these are the persons that are going to work on a particular project, giving their intel. Then you've got network managers. Now these network managers are responsible for securing the network on which you're connected, or on which you're going to transfer the data. Now in here, this securing the network is very important, because when you're connected onto the internet, your entire data gets accessible by different people. Then you've got MIS, that is the manager of information system. Then you've got data entry operators. Now data entry operators, these people are going to make entry of data for a particular organization or for a particular project. These are the people that are going to put input within the system. Now in here, these people can also be the threat to information system. Now why can be these people threat to the information system? Because people are the weakest. If you are able to bribe a particular person, he might give you the security key, he might give you the weakness of a particular application or a particular organization. So if you get the weakness, then you can completely compromise the entire data within it is just a matter of time that the entire data of the particular organization is compromised. You can manipulate the data, you can change, you can copy the data, anything can be done. It is like you've got access, you've got this authorized person's access key. So in here, whoever the different people that you're having within the organization, these people should be trustworthy. Then you've got us procedures. Now in here, what are procedures? Procedures, those are the different steps or the different tasks that you're performing to complete a particular job. You can say it is a documented action taken to achieve something. Now in here, this procedure is more than a simple single task. A procedure can be quite complex sometimes, when each and every process or each and every task to achieve something, it is not every time easy. It can be complex also. So in here, whenever there are difficult procedures within a particular organization, these procedures should also be safeguarded. Now, why these procedures should be safeguarded? Now, if suppose within a particular bank, you've got some consultant within the bank. Now, in here, this consultant has got access, or he's learned how to wire funds. Now, when he has learned how to wire funds, now in here, now these to wire fund, if suppose there is a complex procedure to wire the funds. He's learned all this complex procedure. So in here, he just needs to get access to the particular person's computer. He might be on a break, or he might just go to another person's desktop. Within a matter of time, he might just turn on the system, follow the steps, and he might be able to wire funds into his own account. So that is why the procedure for doing some complex task, they should also be safeguarded. Now in here, with the procedure should be safeguarded, and even the authentication that is being provided, that should also be put within place. That is, this is the same person that is transferring the funds. Authentication for each transaction, so that you can avoid this type of mishap within the company. Then the next one is network. Now, when information systems are connected to each other, they are going to be connected onto a local area network. And then these LANs will be connected onto a network, that is the internet. Now in here, you need to provide steps so that you can provide network security. Now this network security is very essential, because whenever you're connecting these different LANs onto the internet, you're going to have new security challenges that are going to arise. New security challenges are going to arise. Now in here, you need to have an implementation system for alarm and intrusion system, because in here, if suppose you're not using a secure network to transfer the data, you do not have packet encryption, or you do not have a firewall in place. So in here, there are different attacks that can occur on this particular system. You can go for IP snooping on another person. If there is not a firewall in place for the particular organization, an intruder might try to access the data within a particular organization. Now, whenever there is an intruder that wants to access a particular data within an organization, there should be an intrusion system. That is, as the person gets access within a system, an authorized and unauthorized person gets access within the system, there should be a message displayed on the computers that an attack is being launched or an intruder is there within a system. Now, when you get to know that an intruder has attacked within a system, you can do the different you can perform the different risk control mechanism, so that you can safeguard the important data within the organization, whether you can control or completely stop the attack. So these are the 6 different components that need to be secured within an information system to achieve security. Now the next topic is securing components. Now this topic we've already covered, but now in here, within the security components, computers can be subject to an attack, or computers can be an object of an attack. Now in here, when a computer is object when the computer is a subject of an attack, it means that a computer is used as a tool to conduct attack. That is, this is a person, that is, he's using the computer. The person is using the computer to launch an attack on a particular organization. On a particular organization, it can be a data warehouse or any database. Now, when it is an object of attack, it means that computer is the entity being attacked. That is, in here, subject of an attack means you're using this computer to attack, whereas object of an attack means it is used as an entity that is being attacked. Now, in here, this organization or data warehouse, this is an object of an attack. And this computer, this is the subject of an attack. Oops. You're using this computer to launch attack on the object, that is a particular organization. Now, in here, a hacker is using computer as a subject of an attack. That is, this computer is being used by the hacker to launch an attack. Now, this attack is launched via the internet. Hacker is going to send a request. Now, this remote system, that is the object of an attack. Now, hacker is going to send a request disguised as an authorized person. So, in here, you're attacking this particular data warehouse or another firm, another organization. Now, in here, when you get access to the information, you can steal the information and you can store it back onto your computer. So this is the subject of an attack and this is object of an attack. Now, in here, if suppose you're launching an attack on another computer, so computer in here, it can be a subject of an attack. If in here you're using another computer only to attack, then this computer becomes an object of an attack also. Anything on which you're launching an attack is object of an attack. Whereas the person that is launching the attack, which device you're using, that is the subject of an attack. So this is the end of today's class.